The following is uncensored. Viewer discretion is advised. What's going on? My name's Dave Kryszczak. Welcome to fucking Spontaneous Combustion. It's a podcast, I think, episode 2. You can listen to us anywhere you like to listen to podcasts, which basically means SoundCloud, because I got no money for fucking Spotify and iTunes. They want way too much money, hence why they're almost trillion-dollar companies. I'm with my boy, Santino D'Agostino. Say what's up.
Yo, what's going on, boss?
Known this guy for way too fucking long. And
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about a lot today. The myths of it, I have no idea, and we'll figure it out when
Just
we get
winging
there.
it, throwing the wing in there.
Life's best like jazz, man. It's when you improvise. And for those that don't know that reference, that's on the back of a wall, in Philadelphia on South Broad Street at a club called South. We've played there once before, with a man by the name of Gerald Veasley, the world's best bass player I think I've ever seen in my life.
Savage bass playing god.
The guy plays a bass better than I play a saxophone as a melodic instrument. So, you can follow the podcast on Instagram at Spontaneous Podcast. And we're on Facebook too at Spontaneous Podcast and SoundCloud at Spontaneous Podcast. So, first off, give everyone your little elevator pitch.
My elevator pitch?
Your
about
elevator
me?
pitch. Yeah, CEO of Fox News walks into the elevator with you.
Yeah.
And,
all right. So
you're like, hey, my name's.
So essentially, I'm just your average college student, minus a few things. As a lot of you know, especially Dave, because we're always talking about this kind of stuff. I'm really into politics, writing about it, talking about it, Facebooking about it, especially. I like to pick on the controversial things. I'm a lot less picky than I was before. I'm a lot less hammerish, I guess you like to say. But, I'm kind of more observant than I am interacting now, because in school and through just talking with people and doing all these internships, I did an internship in the New Jersey State House with the Senate Republican office. That was pretty cool. Just got the hang of doing basic research and stuff like that. Got to see a few committee meetings. And I'm really more honed in instead of engaging, which is always awesome and a good way to get into politics and just observing stuff in general. I'm more into the observing part a lot more. So I like to say I'm less opinionated now than I was when I started, because as you come in with all these opinions, people just start chomping at the bit, dude. And they start slashing your entire philosophy up. And it's a blessing and a curse. The curse part being that it really not damages you as a person, but it kind of takes a toll on you emotionally, because you're like, wow, some of these people really will stop being your friend because of your views.
Yeah, what part do you mean takes emotional or mental and emotional effect to your views specifically?
Just anybody in politics in general, just whether you're Democrat or Republican, some people they take it so far to where they will stop being your friend. And I'm not gonna lie, back in when I first got into it, I was like, oh, that dude's a socialist. He's probably
number one. Before you continue, let's say that you started as what the country considers a liberal, and then you've since almost very, very slowly switched over to a conservative.
I think
as a background, because if people are listening that don't know who you are, that's something I think that people definitely need to be made aware of.
Yeah. So in high school, as most of us are, we're very more pulled towards the idea of giving to people. We're very attracted to any ideology of helping people or sounds like helping people. We're very.
That's what school's based around. Your honor societies. You have to do community service and give back, and the whole thing.
Yeah, and
it
it's
lives
not.
and breathes off of that kind of system.
Yeah, this isn't necessarily a jab, because I'm gonna try to speak objectively. While doing this, I mean, I know I don't have to, but
try to.
Yeah, try to. But this isn't taking a jab at the Democratic Party, even though it kind of may sound like I am. But in high school, we're a lot simple-minded. And the good thing that the Democratic Party does and the liberal ideology themselves, their message is very simple, and they're very good at taking like the like
Complex
Republican
ideas,
ideology and
complex ideas,
flipping it.
and making it extremely simple sounding.
Yeah, yeah. But on the other hand, what I'm really upset with right now, on the Republican side, conservative side of things, is what I'm seeing a lot of lately is the Republican Party manufacturing this false outrage that, like, all right, for instance, the baby it's cold outside thing. You know that people got radio stations taking it down.
Yeah, it's a pile of bullshit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But listen, it like it nobody cares.
That's what I
You had
mean.
you had
Who gives a flying fuck, dude? Like,
exactly, you had conservative media outlets putting out these headlines like 1/3 of people think Santa Claus should be gender fluid.
yeah,
And it's like, actually,
come on, man.
nobody, that poll was done by an app that nobody knows.
Yeah, that are
It's,
probably all fake generated users to begin with.
yeah. And the funny thing about that happening from like manufacturing within the conservative wing of things
Yeah,
is that the conservatives themselves, going back to the Tea Party not too long ago, they would get so angry at liberals when they would call them homophobes, racist, xenophobes. But now it seems that that's flipped, and now the Republicans and conservatives are the ones kind of manufacturing this outrage. As of now, it could flip within like a switch.
could change tomorrow.
That's just
Yeah.
how politics. Yeah, it could change tomorrow. Just like, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing. So back to myself.
And this is how this entire conversation is gonna go. By the way,
Yeah,
it's gonna be trying to get back to one idea, but we're never gonna get there.
essentially, yeah.
So, a fact that I would already gonna ask, and I'll answer for you. We've known each other middle school, probably.
Middle school,
So
yeah.
we're 20 now. It's 7 or 8 years of my life.
Too long.
Our lives, yeah, way too long. And I think it was in band where we got to meet each other, in jazz band specifically.
Yeah,
And
yes, sir.
we still play to this very day. Very lousily now, I'll say, being out of high school for 2 years. But yeah, this guy's a fucking lousy trombone player, I must say.
Yeah, that's another side we can get into, the music.
Yeah, man.
So I started playing trombone in 4th grade, and kind of, funny story, I almost quit in 4th grade
Yeah, you told me
because
that before.
I had the letter. Me and the buddy Jake had our letters. Jake handed his letter, and I didn't hand. I did do it, but I stuck with it. And then 7th, 8th grade, I told myself, listen, you're gonna have to pick a high school. There was
Yeah,
GCIT,
man.
technical school, or there's Deptford, and I had my mindset on GCIT, but I didn't know what I was gonna do.
Me too.
So then, towards the end of middle school, the band directors from Deptford came over and were like, listen, if you come to Deptford, the opportunities for you are amazing.
Yeah. Oh,
Because
we can
when you're
name
young,
drop, by the way, because I'm gonna send this to them personally.
we're name dropping. All
So
right, Carl
this
Cox.
guy named Mike Armstrong walks into, at the time, Calvin Spencer was running the middle school band and was in the drum and bugle corps. So we had a very very awesome setup for how everything was ran in the middle school. Good for middle schoolers. We needed the structure. And
Yeah.
this guy walks in and he's, I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing here? I'm like, who is this? And everyone's like, oh yeah, it's the high school director. I'm like, oh shit, bigwig up here, you know what I'm saying? And he's talking about this marching band thing. I'm like, okay, whatever, dude. And I just picked up alto at the time. I picked clarinet in 4th grade. I guess I'll give my little musical background. And in 7th grade, Mr. Spencer was like, yo, you should try this thing called alto sax and play this style of music called jazz. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll try it out. And Armstrong came in, and he was like, hey, you guys should really, love to have you in marching band. I'm like, oh, okay. So little did I know I'd find myself doing that for 4 years. But And then this guy, Carl Cox, came in, and he had a tenor sax with him. And all I remember was he put on a backing track to I don't even remember what chart, and he just absolutely made this chart like start crying how much he was playing over it. And he's like, "Yeah, that's jazz, man." And I want you to be in my jazz band. I was like, "Oh shit." So the choice, as was yours probably, I was like, man, I either go to GCIT and do their IT program, which I was going to do, very heavily interested, or I go to Deffert, be in the marching band, and play in all the ensembles. And we both picked Deffert High School, and kind of never looked back.
True that. I honestly, when I think back to it, I don't know what I know it clicked it for me.
I don't remember what it was, dude.
Back in middle school, I was big on baseball. You know, but even before middle school,
Yeah,
up to like sophomore year of high school, I was
I remember.
baseball all the way. And then in middle school, I was like doing this thing where I wouldn't show up to jazz band. And
Oh yeah, you go to fucking ball. I remember.
yeah, and then Spencer was like,
He's getting all
I remember
pissed,
he was taught he got really upset, but he wasn't pissed. He was upset. He was frustrated. And he was like,
yeah,
listen, man, this is just what you're doing to me. Imagine doing that to your coach. This is just like a sport. If you do that to me, imagine what it does to the team.
yeah.
And
That kind of clicked, right?
I never thought of music that way. And I started
Yeah.
thinking about it, and I was like, listen, if that's how music really is, well, then I guess I just have to dive all in, because at this point, you know, I mean, I was good at
Yeah, you
baseball,
gotta
but I
like
wasn't
pick
like,
your team, you know?
yeah. So, you know, I just decided to run with it. Went to Deptford. Did pretty good there, I would say.
And now we're like the biggest high school band in Boston. Wink, wink.
Yeah, yeah.
As legend says, we've won 4 years in a row. There's a high school jazz festival that we went to as a I think we had the normal big band size is 16. We always had 17.
Yeah, we were
'Cause we
big.
had two percussionists. And we just kick butt every year. Well, having a professional saxophone player that's been in the industry as long as we've been alive doesn't hurt either.
Yeah,
And it's been
yeah.
teaching now for over 13 years is kind of a big advantage.
Playing
A
with
guy,
Smokey
yeah, a guy that's
Robinson.
played with Jay-Z and has signed shoes by Jay-Z when Jay-Z was the man, you know. But yeah, just the music thing and then the marching band thing brought together the whole vibe, and then school was just kind of like a secondary thing. Let's kind of go to that topic a little bit. What did you think about, like, what was school to you?
Like academically?
Yeah, just yeah, not just in general,
All
but
right,
more
I know what
towards
you're
the
saying.
academics.
I
What
know what
did you
you're
think
saying.
about school?
So, the very beginning, freshman year, I was kind of scared on the academic side of things. But, you know, I never really took the academics of things too seriously, but I always excelled. You know, I was an AB student all the time.
Yeah,
And then high school came around, and I was like, man, I got to put the burners on. But unfortunately for me, the burners didn't really come on until I think it was junior year. Because freshman year, I got by the skin of my teeth. Sophomore year was very bad. And I was like, listen, I need to kick it up if I'm going to go to college. I didn't even know where I was going to go to college at the time.
yeah.
But junior year, I remember it was, I'll name drop. Miss Dumbleton's class, dude. Like, I don't know what it was, but I just dove into
She's
the
a great
material.
educator. Yeah,
She's great. She's one of the best at Deptford. And I just dove into the material, dude. And like when we had to take notes, I would take like 5 pages of notes when we needed
yeah.
like
Write everything down.
one front and back. And like I just started deciphering like the words and really like trying to craft like not the narrative itself, but my own around it.
Yeah,
And then I remember one of the projects I did in her class was I took we had to like take a song or something, I forget exactly what it was, and like find a meaning. I don't it was like find a meaning behind this, something like that.
yeah.
But the song I chose was 433, by, I forget his name, but it's basically a song where it's 4 minutes and 33 seconds of pure silence.
Oh, yeah.
And it's an actual published song. So I played it.
Remember an orchestra did that. I think the New York Philharmonic did that live, and they just conducted 4 minutes and 33 seconds of rest.
Yeah.
Shit's insane.
I went really deep into it. Like, I built like this whole thing around it.
Yeah.
And it was the final project of the semester. And I handed it in and I presented it in front of the class. And she was like, I don't get this at all. And I was like, wow, I just went above and beyond. And it had no impact.
Wow.
I forget what I was trying to say, but it was deep. It was really deep.
Man.
So in junior year, I got really, I don't know why, but I got real passionate about just like, I don't even know what to call it, like just life itself.
You got better as a musician in that time frame too. Probably.
Let's be honest. I didn't
so passionate.
Yeah, I wasn't big on practicing, as we all know.
Oh, me either. Yeah, I'll be the first to tell you. I still don't practice.
Bedford was so big. Like, we had jazz every day.
We did. We did.
Concert band every day.
I mean, we kind of were. I mean, number one. Here's another thing too that I've never said. I've never rehearsed any chart that I've ever played other than to work on chord changes. Like in terms of like licks and stuff, and like playing like through a classical piece. Never actually sat down and like worked on it because we had so much rehearsal time.
Yeah, well, you had that concerto in middle school. I remember that.
That I did work on. I'm talking like high school. I've never really had to and that's in part thanks to them for having such a good teaching style. And I think when you compare those two schools, GCIT and Deffert, GCIT pumps out a lot of really good workers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you look at the college rate of who actually went to college and who went to what college, we have a higher success rate in terms of people going to like mind-changing universities. And
what do you mean by mind-changing?
Critical thinking universities. Like we had a lot of people go to Rowan, Stockton, Montclair State. We had 3 people go to Princeton, a couple people go to UC Berkeley. Couple people go to Stanford. A lot of Ivy League that wasn't really seen before, and that was our class, and it kind of went after that. But GCIT was old schooly a trade school, so they just push people right into Rowan College of Gloucester County, Rowan, and that sort of thing. So I feel like, and we also now have like an engineering program and stuff at Deffert. So I think it's the idea of like the creative side of the street, and then the tradesman side of the street, you know?
Yeah.
But back to the high school thing. I know you gave yours. I feel like I kind of had the opposite effect, where I started really good coming out of the gate at 8th grade, going into freshman year. I was all A's freshman year, and then sophomore year happened, and I almost failed English. That was a funny story.
Oh man,
I was in all advanced courses until that time, and I still was. I went to AP and everything. But I remember I was in, and I actually told him this story a couple of months ago when I saw him at an event. I was in Pete Motion's at 10th grade English, right? Advanced English.
Never had him, but I hear too much about him.
And he said I wouldn't recommend. He said he recommended like CP English, right? For me.
Ooh.
And I was like, I really don't like you telling me that. So it was really like a low key motivator. I forced myself into AP English, as did you, but then you dropped out.
Yeah, that was bad. I didn't read the book over the summer.
I get the email over the summer, and I have to read 3 books. I'm like, holy shit. Coming from like regular English, you know? And I went into AP English 11 with Dave Nastasi as my teacher, and I aced 8 semesters of English until I graduated. So that was a thing of like, I work off of motivation of people telling me you can't do something. I like proving you wrong. But I had all A's, and then I slowly kind of went to AB, and now I have like an ABC like dart shoot in college. Depends
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
course material too, because like organizational behavior, I fucking hate that course. It's a piece of bullshit, and it should never exist. However, I'm still gonna give it, what I can, But like,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
probably gonna get a high C, low B in that class, but I just don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah. I
it's
feel
not
you.
a don't care as in like I'm not gonna put in the work. It's a don't care as in I don't feel this is worth it to me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. To kind of build off of that, in high school, let me not psych myself out. It's not. I don't think my grades improved, but the quality, at least in my opinion, the quality of my work was a lot denser and more. It was better because I kind of took away from. I didn't in junior year. Junior year was the year that I really dove into the school material.
Yeah.
And then I dove into the school material and I got bored of it because I
Yeah,
wanted
I mean
there were certain
textbooks only last for so long. Like
yeah, yeah.
and
I
reading's great, but like this whole idea like podcast and YouTube became a big thing in my later years of high school. Um and like I always joke about now, when I move out eventually, I don't think I'm going to buy cable.
yeah, yeah, me
I
either.
literally think I'm just going to buy an internet subscription and I'll be just fine. I
That's all you
really
need.
I
That's all you need.
could everything like Amazon and the tech giants of the world are then buying out all of the mainstream media,
Yeah, yeah.
you know? But
There's just so many outlets of education at this point that,
yeah.
you know, the idea of just going to school is kind of not that it's falling because it's great to go, everybody needs to get, some sort of basis of education.
Yeah.
But,
But,
you got that
and the
common
people
core curriculum.
yeah, yeah, I mean, we'll name drop some big guys that we just talked about. We had dinner before we recorded this podcast. And we were talking about Gary Vee and stuff. And Gary Vee isn't really about
Gary Vee.
he's not about the school mentality. And I have a conflictor to that because I think that there's some people in the world that just aren't built for that. They're built for school or they're built to be workers. You know what I mean? Which
Yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
need them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
However, the idea that you shouldn't go to school, I don't think is a good thing.
I think the problem is that we're thinking of school as the only source of education for a lot of people.
Yeah, which it's
And then,
not.
we think if someone doesn't go to school that they're not educated, which is completely wrong because after it was either the end of junior year or the beginning of senior year. I kind of pulled away from the school content
Yeah.
and I have a lot of I mean for someone my age, I do have a lot of books like in this
Yeah,
little
I
corner of
don't
my
read
room.
as much, but when I do pick up books, it's like I'll read almost the entire thing in one session, and then I'll talk about it for months after, years after.
You
And I
start picking up
still
guys like Robert Greene,
Oh yeah.
48 Laws of Power, Hayek, economics guys.
I still
You
talk
got
about
Henry Hazlitt.
1984 from junior year in high school. That was the one book in high school that I read all the way through. Um,
Good
and
book.
it's one of those where it like messes your brain up so much that you have to read it again. And I did, and it makes like when you pull references out of that book, you're like, holy shit, that lines up to this, and this.
That's one thing, health teacher Dr. Miss Shu taught me. Because I
I
remember
never had
I,
her, but I've only heard so many things about her.
I brought into school, I remember it was Mein Kampf by Adolf Hitler.
Oh yeah.
And everybody was looking at me like, yo, what are you doing reading
I
that?
remember when you were reading it, I was like, I honestly, unbiased opinion, that's a good read.
It is very, I didn't get through the whole thing. Definitely not through the whole thing. I got through like a quarter of it, and his writing is just like, I don't know. I don't
It's
like
how he
reading it.
almost fucking ruled the world, dude.
It might be the translation. I don't
Yeah,
know.
oh
It's
no,
just
it
not
is.
enjoyable.
That is the translate. You have to. The original, they did. There was an article
The
on that.
original's probably in freaking German.
No, that's what I'm saying. When he wrote it, I'm sure the dialect made a lot more sense. But
Yeah,
you
it's
think
just
about
not
it, just as a person, just like what would Hitler's LinkedIn look like? Just like Supreme Chancellor of a country that almost owned half of the globe. You know,
That's not.
all all through all through words. You know what I mean? In terms of his potential successes, right?
Yeah, I kind of contradict myself I contradict my old self when it comes to, because I've kind of evolved from the idea that Adolf was, we're not on the first name basis. I don't know why I just called him Adolf, but I kind of evolved from the idea that Hitler is a genius, because I kind of thought about it more, and I was like, I mean, politically maybe, but the
I'm
guy was
talking,
just really just a manipulator.
yeah, I'm
That's
talking
about it.
strictly in terms of what he did politically. Obviously, all the bad stuff that happened because of that is no bueno. However, the man knew how to talk very,
Yeah,
very, very well.
he was a manipulator. That's all he is.
I
And
mean,
honestly, people get mad when you do this, but just rhetoric itself. Guys like Hitler had the rhetoric down. Trump, you think of
Donald
Trump.
Trump's got
I'm
it.
not.
Donald Trump's got it down like a
I'm in
science
no
dude.
way. I don't want my conservative friends to get mad at me, because, I mean, when you think down to the rhetoric, you have guys like, you got Cocaine Mitch, which isn't Trump's label. What was the guy's name? Was it Don Blankenship? I think he's the one
I
who
believe
called
so.
him Cocaine Mitch. And then you got guys like,
I mean, you think
what
of
did he
anybody
call?
that sells shit, dude. Gary V, Grant Cardone, Ty Lopez. Um,
They
uh,
label things, and then it sticks in your head, and then you're just into it.
any company that runs advertising on the same fucking shit. I'm gonna call it out right now. I want to fucking brand it. You owe me $10. Black Rifle Coffee Company, right? They run YouTube ads on fucking everything, dude. On every single video I watch, I see a Black Rifle Coffee Company ad. Now, they're veteran owned and veteran supported, and they do some really cool fucking videos. And I actually like them a lot. But literally, I don't drink coffee, but if I did, it'd probably be Black Rifle. Right?
I
In
mean, it's
terms of
probably
just the pounding of how they set their stories up, how they tell their stories, and how they persuade you to enjoy their product is just like anybody persuading you to enjoy their personal opinion or their personal being.
yeah,
That
yeah.
applies to the president. That applies to any leader of any country, I would say.
I think really getting down to it, it's the idea of, back to the Gary V Center. It's like they kind of, Donald Trump obviously has a weird way of self-awareness,
Yeah, that's true.
but like, how do I
But
explain
he's
it?
also president of the United States. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, people could talk shit all day, not about the person, just the accomplishment that he made. You know what I mean?
Well, when you think of it, it's not much of an accomplishment, because he was running against you had the two worst
That's
candidates in the world.
that's true.
But in the end, I don't know if I would say Trump won it or if Hillary lost it. I don't know which one I would pick. I'm more inclined to say that Trump won it because Hillary lost it.
Yeah, it's more of a because this happened,
Yeah.
because X, Y. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
But hopping off of that train, because we'll be here for 6 hours talking about that fucking bullshit. You write a lot.
I do.
On Facebook, on paper.
Yep.
I have a memoir. I don't have it in my hand, but the first memoir that you printed out, I forget the name of it, but I read through all of it, and it's just like some real shit, and it's kind of, you talk about whatever you want, which is cool.
Yeah.
You check Facebook more than you check your text messages, and that's a
I do.
fact. And
That is a fact.
That's one of your New Year's resolutions, I think you told me, was to check your damn messages more.
Yep.
And yeah, that needs to happen.
It
So
will.
what's the whole, let's go to that. Are you addicted to social media? Yes or no?
I'm more addicted to like what is going on than social media itself.
But you can get your news from anywhere.
It's true, but I like interacting with what's happening in the news, like
So
sharing
you
it,
do
seeing
like
what
the
people have to
idea.
say about it.
Yeah, so that is the social idea of the media.
Well, yeah, I guess I'm addicted to social media.
Because okay, would you be able to go back to a flip phone?
Would I still be able to have my laptop?
That's a good counter to that. Of course, this is the political side, asking the question on top of the question, so he doesn't have to answer the real question. See what you did there. let's say when Mark Zuckerberg was getting roasted by the House. Who did he get roasted by? Senate, right?
He gets roasted by everybody. Yeah.
Right,
Senate.
when he got grilled up.
Or it was a committee. It was a committee.
A
or
committee
something.
of the Senate, right? Let's just say that the feds found a way to shut down Facebook. That includes Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
What would you number one, I don't even know the point of iPhones anymore. Number two, what would be your thing? Like, what would you, like, without social media, what would be your next thing? You know what I mean? Because we have this addiction, right?
Yeah.
And I talked about it last podcast a little bit later, but I'll talk about it again. People are fucking robots, and all they do is look at their damn phones all day. What would be your thought process if Facebook just gone?
For everybody or just myself?
Everybody.
Everybody?
Feds, in a hypothetical situation, the feds got the Facebook, and they're gone.
All right.
Zuckerberg's in jail. You know.
All right. I'd assume
he got locked up.
The media would get back to paper print. The paper print business would explode. And people would start talking to each other again, and news would travel maybe a little slower. I don't think it would like slow down drastically. Maybe at first.
You have like Wall Street Journal, and you have like all those companies that are still more of they still get the media out quick, you know?
Yeah.
Digitally. But
yeah.
I don't have the statistic on me, but if I'd like to make an assumption personally, I would say over 90% of people get their news from Facebook.
It's probably more than that.
I mean, I agree with you. But just in terms of like township discussion pages, you know? We have one in Deptford called Deptford Talk. It's got there's 33,000 residents in town. It's got almost.
You know what? You know what? I'm gonna say this. I don't know why I'm gonna say it, but I'm gonna say it.
Say it. Fucking send it.
I can't stand Deptford Talk.
Oh boy.
I can't stand.
Right, the title of this podcast, note in editing, is going to be the Deptford Talk Roast featuring Santino and Dave. I'm writing.
Let me tell you why.
Please go ahead and let's immediately switch the topic. We're still on social media here, folks, but we're going to talk about.
I can't talk about Deptford Talk.
No, I said we're still on social media, but we're going to now transition into a part of social media, which is group pages that many residents can be a part of, or any Facebook citizen, right? Because Facebook's like its own country at this point. You can talk, for people that don't know. You can talk on them, and you can share your views or not, and advertise things and all that shit. I actually probably advertise this podcast on Deptford Talk. So those listening from Deptford Talk, if you're gonna be offended by what we're about to say, fucking turn it off. Continue.
People are so petty. Like, you have people. Did you ever just see a post and it's like something good?
How about I just open it up right now and go down the list? Let's see what we got.
Honestly, you could. You could open it up. People will post something about their business, like a grand opening or something, and then someone will be like, "Oh, it's probably not even that good."
Today is dated. We're recording this on the 29th at 10 p.m. Got business ads. Whoa, here's a great question. What does everyone use for cable? I've got 28 comments on what.
I'm sure there's a fight. About which cable company is better than the other.
Yeah, Comcast blows.
Yep.
Comcast. I paid them the other day and they shut me down. Don't want Comcast. Comcast is so damn expensive. We disconnected Comcast. Comcast, give us some money.
Poor Comcast.
Give us some money. I'll start reading the positive ones. Wait a minute. Someone just told me that Amazon has cable and it's totally cheap. Amazon cable? What? They don't. Jesus Christ.
And that's another thing.
You know what some people need to learn? There's a thing called Google.com.
Honestly, dude.
That has 99.9% of the answers you're looking for, folks.
They say, I think Amazon has this thing. You think? Look it up, dude. It's right there.
Yeah, literally.
Close out of your Facebook app and look it up. It's right there, dude.
I just went onto Amazon, and the only thing that Amazon has in terms of cable is cable that you can buy.
While we're on this, real quick.
Fire TV stick. Amazon. I'll take your money, Jeff. Please send it over.
Real quick.
PO Box 338 in Mantua. Continue. What were you
while
saying?
we're on the idea of, just Google being right there and people asking dumb questions and
Yep.
saying dumb stuff. A lot of people, when let's say I make a post or I comment on a post, I pull, like numbers and stuff, and they're like, dude, the way you just like pull it out of nowhere is crazy. And I'm like, dude, because I'm on Facebook
You've
and
read a lot of
I can
books
open a new tab.
and you've seen
I've
a
read a
lot of
lot I
stuff.
have all these books. I have, this thing, there's a tab up here and I can click it and I could type in Google and I could type in, something like what I'm thinking, and then I can get the data for what I'm, not that it is kind of like confirmation bias,
Yeah.
but in the sphere of like trying to make a point,
No, exactly.
I try to pull to the best of my ability from, government resources,
Yeah.
studies, researches,
Red
stuff
alert.
like that.
Second
And then
post. A drone landed. It's on our doorstep, on Westville, in Westville, Christmas afternoon. If it's yours, PM my guy. Hoping to get this one back to his owner. Like, I don't know, dude.
and then you know what?
Some stuff on Facebook, dude.
People comment under that, well, why don't you just watch the film on the drone? And then people just like blow their heads up
A
under
lot
the
of people just
comments for no
don't
reason.
know. People don't even know what a fucking drone is still. It's 2018.
It's just petty. Some people are just bored with their lives. That's why I can't stand up for talk. And then they pull your stuff. I remember I posted something. I mean, they can do what they want, but
That's true.
it's just, I hate that. I hate when you can't say what you want. I mean, you can say what you
Yeah.
want, but there's the idea that if you say something wrong, they're going to take it down.
That is true.
That's a whole thing. I did a whole semester on free speech and composition class and
Yeah.
Rowan. Yeah.
About 5% of the stuff on Deffer Talk or any talk page is actually useful.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of whining, honestly. Whining.
Yeah.
I like how
It's the
they
online
can.
version of whining, dude.
Yeah, I like how you can just ask questions about businesses. That's good. Like, what's great, recommendations.
That is nice
stuff.
because like I've used that to my advantage. When anybody asks on that 30,000 person little database, we could say, who fixes phone screens or who does computers, I get referenced all the time. So like,
and then
in terms of the positive stuff, it's really good.
Yeah. And then just let me a little PSA to everybody on Deptford Talk.
Or Facebook in general.
Or Facebook in general, but specifically Deptford Talk, because half of you annoy the living crap out of me. Just, if you know what you're going to say is petty, don't say it.
Yeah,
I'm not say it.
I'm not gonna bring up what was talked about on another page. But it was something involving, somebody say this the right way, Dave. Somebody had said that they had picked up somebody that was potentially like a robber or something. And the only thing they had to identify them was their race and their gender. And I'll send this to you privately, Santino, but the outrage from this post was, I believe, about 250 something comments, and I'm looking at it right now, and just the stream of hate and the whole, like, I don't even like.
You know what this ties into? You know the whole story with the wrestler who just dreads off, and
yeah, and how people isolate every situation that happens.
But here's the thing with that specific instance.
Yeah, let's go to that.
Here's the thing with that. Obviously this guy Alan.
I'm gonna pull up an article right now.
Yeah, I don't even know his name. Pull it up.
This article's from CNN. I don't know if I should be reading it. A varsity wrestler was told to cut his dreadlocks or forfeit the match. Now the Attorney General is investigating. In a brief summary, Buena Regional High School, we played there. It's a nice place. New Jersey Division of Civil Rights is investigating an incident at a high school wrestling match this week in which a referee told a black wrestler to cut off his dreadlocks or forfeit the match, and that's a quote. Many on social media were outraged by the video and accused the referee of exhibiting racial bias, blah, 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 a whole bunch of political bullshit. And people are now looking into that. And I think that was just somebody with a camera that shouldn't have had it at the time. Like, I just think that was something that
here's what it is. Here's
that always happens, or something that probably is normal in that field, It's just because the young man was of a different color, or if somebody had a problem with somebody in that school district, or for some reason somebody decided to publicize it.
There,
That's my
there
opinion.
was a reporter from, I think it was SNJ. He's a sports director. I forget his
Yeah,
name.
SNJ Today.
I think that's what it was. I think his name was Mike something, but he got raked over the coals for saying that the kid who got his dreads cut was a team player. Like, what is it called when you're a team? He was taking one for the team essentially.
Okay.
And people in the replies on Twitter they were like, this is not, sport.
What'd you say, buddy?
Yo, like this dude, it was honorable what that kid did with his dreads. I mean, he got him cut.
Yeah.
And they're raking this dude over the coals for saying that what he did was good for his team and, something that makes him an honorable person.
Yeah.
And I think that that's just stupid. And now I think people are looking at this the wrong way. They're jumping right to the race thing, but this referee, I'm just gonna call him Alan. I don't but the referee, I think the thing here is that he didn't follow the rules. The story is that he got there late, and then he wasn't there for weigh-ins, and he didn't examine the headwear of the wrestler.
Yeah.
And then he examined it, and then he said it wasn't good or something like that, and then he made him cut his hair.
Yeah, and the guy still
But
took a fat dub.
yeah.
The guy
And
still won and got
here's
Buena
the
a
thing:
championship.
instead of jumping to the race thing, why don't we jump it? This referee isn't good at his job. He
Yeah.
skipped the rule. He didn't skip the rule. He essentially did skip a process in the rules.
Yeah, man.
Let's instead of calling him a bad racist man, which apparently he has a history, I've looked it up and I haven't
Yeah,
really
and by
found
the way,
anything.
the
But
gentleman from SNJ Today is Mike Frankel. I'm looking at his Twitter right now. His Twitter
yes,
is
yes,
at Mike Frankel SNJ, by the way. And the quote that I have that you said from December 20th is epitome of a team player from that situation. That tweet got over 49,000 likes, 12,000 retweets, and 11,000 comments, which is fucking insane.
and then scroll down and read some of the comments. Read some of the.
I'll read that in a second. The day later, the guy must have got criticized so bad, he apologized for what he said. Like,
Yep,
in my
it's crazy.
personal opinion, your credibility just went out the window and around the corner. Right? Like, how are you gonna, like, if I said that, obviously I give zero fucks when anyone thinks what I think. However, I wouldn't apologize for something that I said unless I was truly wrong.
From the perspective of, him as a journalist, I think it was good of him to do to like keep his reputation up.
Yeah, but
Because
I also think that
whatever he did, he was going to win or lose. If he didn't apologize, people were going to still like him. People were going to hate him. If he did apologize, people were going to like him. And in Jersey, it's better if he apologizes for his reputation.
That's
honestly
true. I'll agree with you in this state.
And as a journalist, you shouldn't really be saying. You should just report it and post it up.
Should be technically no personal opinions. Yeah.
But I mean, listen, it was obvious what he did was a good thing.
Yeah.
Not the referee. What the wrestler himself did was a good thing.
It was a very sportsmanship minded thought.
Yeah.
Some people are calling for lawsuits. This is ridiculous. This is a team player, but rules are rules. None of you understand the style of wrestling and strict regulations. Some people are called disgraceful.
That's the thing. People are jumping right to the skin color card, and they're not thinking this referee skipped some rules.
The regulations.
He wasn't there for the weigh-ins, and
disturbing on so many levels.
I mean, I'm not big on the rules of wrestling or whatever, but I tried to like look into the handbook as best as I could.
Yeah.
And the story as it goes is that he just didn't show up for weigh-ins and then came late and then told this kid that his headwear wasn't good enough, which is breaking the rules, I think. I'm not too sure.
I've got a gentleman who quoted a book. I don't know if it's how true it is. There's a grooming rule on wrestling. Police your wrestlers so the officials will not have to. Yeah, it's not. This seems like it's made up. Because it has in there like coaches police your wrestlers so officials will not have to embarrass them by requiring them to cut their hair, shave, etc. I don't think that sounds very official for a book of rules. So, and that goes back on the social media thing of, don't take everything at its face value and actually look into shit before you make your full opinion, whether it's biased or not. You know.
Yeah, you know what? Because back when I played like baseball and stuff like that, some things would happen and the parents would get super mad about it, like stupid stuff, like age or whatever. And me as an athlete, I didn't care, dude.
No,
Some of these wrestlers are probably looking at these people and just cracking up because they know the rules.
What the fuck are you thinking about? Like, this guy was, he just, didn't do it right or something.
Yeah, but then again, we could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe this dude is racist. I don't know.
Yeah,
honestly, you never know. But from the way it looks as of right now,
yeah, until you put him on a Bible, and then even that might not be the true story.
That's the truth.
But fuck, man. I've just opened up Facebook again. Every time I'm gonna open Facebook now, I'm gonna think of fucking Deptford Talk. Oh boy.
Yeah, just to end the Deptford Talk thing. Just listen. Just stop being petty. It's annoying. I mean, you can continue to be petty. You have the freedom to continue to be petty, but just know that people just don't like you when you're petty. So be petty. I just don't like you, which is perfectly okay. You can continue to do that.
Yeah, mad love for that.
Respect all the way.
How do you think that? This is a weird question. Do you think that people are becoming, I don't have a word for it. Do you think people are becoming less knowledgeable because they're believing things at their face value?
Less knowledgeable.
Like, do you think that people are becoming more gullible? That's a good word. In terms of, like, if I hear something on, let's just use the two biggest news networks right now on mainstream media, CNN and Fox News. If I hear something on CNN, but Fox News says it's something different, some people
I know what you're
would
saying.
immediately believe, depending on their political views, that one news network is right over the other. Do you think that is in some way turning society into a more gullible 1984 version of the people that just follow and are waiting for Big Brother to kind of make their move?
100%. I think, media outlets are like way too smart now.
Yeah, they know
way for too instance, much. Not even that. For instance, Fox News, their name is Fox News, and people watch this, obviously they're conservative. They've changed their slogan recently to opinion done right, but their title is still Fox News. And now you have, they do report the news. They sometimes they get it wrong, just like CNN.
Yeah.
But Fox, the good thing and bad thing about Fox doing this is that, first, the good thing is that they kind of accepted the fact that, they're biased. Their slogan is literally opinion done right.
But they embrace their bias, which I think is something that shows a morality of respect, but it also shows that we're going to put the content out whether you like it or not.
Yeah. And another thing is that the bad thing about that is that people have already been groomed to believe that they are a news source, 100% objective. They've been groomed to think this.
So that anything that they say is now something of public domain and is newsworthy, quote unquote, when that's just a word in a company's title.
Yeah. And on the other hand, you have CNN who, they get a lot of things right. They get some things wrong.
They do.
Honestly,
they are the ones who have a lot of inside hats in certain places, having access to tax records, just relating to Donald Trump. All of his lawyer files, all of his personal files, the thing with Stormy Daniels, they were the first to report on.
They're literally they're the cable news network, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
They're middle of the game.
They've also been around longer. They've been around a lot longer.
The thing with CNN is that they do report, most of the time facts, but it's just the way in which they report is so like it's so funny. It's almost as funny as Fox, but Fox just doesn't care anymore, which makes it even funnier.
Yeah.
But I respect Fox because they embrace it. But CNN just swears that they're objective. Like you have guys like Brian Stelter, who he's one of the not so bad guys there, but he's pretty bad. His show is literally called Reliable Sources.
Huh.
Like, dude, your your network is just they're a laughing stock. But the best way I try to get my news is obviously I have my one media outlet, which that I go to all the time. Daily Wire,
Daily
number
Wire.
one.
Okay, yeah, because you're a big Ben Shapiro fan.
I am, yeah.
And also a Ted Crowder fan.
Ted Crowder.
Wait, what's his first name?
Steve Crowder.
Steve Crowder. Sorry.
I'm not a big fan of him.
Ted,
you know
Ed,
what?
Bob, Jim,
I might
whatever.
I might get hate for this, but Steven Crowder gets on my nerves when he tries to debate people.
When he tries to what?
When he's debating people, it just irks my soul. I don't know why. He reminds me of Tucker Carlson.
He's good with words too, in terms of putting your own words against yourself.
He's like a mix of Tucker Carlson and Tommy Lahren. Cannot stand Tommy Lahren. For all you old guys out there listening, if you're listening, there's this. It's the skinny, good looking blonde who shouts Republican things, and all the old guys are like, yeah, Tommy Lahren.
Yeah.
Can't stand her.
All right,
but yeah, continue.
Getting off of who you like or don't. Yeah, we were on the whole thing of how the two news networks weren't, they're news networks, but at the same time they're also opinionated. But they and how we were getting our real media. I personally enjoy Wall Street Journal. It's very unbiased because they report on things like stocks, world news, not just states news, statewide. But the idea of them is they're all paid base. So I think, that's another thing. Technically, I guess you pay for CNN and Fox News because you pay for your cable, but it's not a direct subscription where CNN directly takes money from you. Where it's like Wall Street Journal directly takes money from you and then you're allowed to view their content. So do you think that by paying for your media, you're getting a more unbiased opinion?
Paying for your media,
like, because I technically pay for Wall Street Journal, right? And there's an actual opinion section on Wall Street Journal that I could read if I choose to. However, most of the mainstream part of WSJ is the unbiased view, or just the literal news part of a story. There's not even reporters' names in it sometimes because it's all text based. Right?
Yeah.
So it's just, here's what happened, and here's the updated story. It's nothing like CNN where they'll drag something out for 3 weeks just to get views and ad revenue. So my question is, like I said, do you think that by paying for your media that you're getting a more unbiased opinion?
So it really depends on the consumer. So
yeah,
let's say you have, let's just, for instance, let's say the TV is shut down.
Yeah,
and we have to pay for whatever news publication.
Yeah,
people will obviously go around and read stuff, different publications, and they'll find one that they like because we all have this thing inside of us called confirmation bias. It's where most of you probably already know what it is, but it's basically you have your beliefs, and if you read something that kind of aligns with your beliefs and it really articulates what you believe, you're more prone to listen to it and kind of preach it as gospel. So, for instance, the same thing with like Fox News and Trump voters, CNN and Democrats. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it would change. I think it would just change the platform.
Yeah, like my dad would buy a subscription to Fox News, and that's it, because that's all he watches. Fox News and NFL. That's it.
Yeah, and even if it was still on TV and we just had to pay for it, I think people would be willing to pay for
the same stuff, like the same exact content, same thing that they get now.
Yes, definitely, 100%.
Because
I mean, like you said, they're technically already, so I don't.
Yeah, technically they are paid, but I'm saying it's not like a direct consumer.
Yeah. I don't think it would change.
I think the business would be much more liquidable though, because if they got a bad rap, they would lose their subscriptions.
Yes.
I think it would drive them to be a bit more conservative in terms of their expression of the news.
It would make it a lot easier to kind of figure out who's who, because you have a lot of conservatives who watch CNN just to watch it. I mean, and then you have other watch Fox News just to like laugh at it.
Yeah.
So I think if you're buying a subscription, you're kind of all in or all out. And then you'd have a lot of people who would just buy a subscription to a lot of things and then read it. But I think with market forces, if we had to pay specifically for our media, I think someone would come out with I think, in my opinion, obviously they're a conservative site, but Daily Wire is great when it comes to laying out the story. And I think if they branched out off of their conservative, their opinionated section, which is basically their whole site. But I mean, if you read their articles, they lay out the story and then they get to it. They get to their opinion.
So they
and they're very open about that.
And then they provide their opinion.
Yes, and I think
cool.
if they kind of broke away from Daily Wire, kept Daily Wire, but then kind of branched it into something else where it's just they lay out the story, I think people would see that. And if they took the name Daily Wire off of it and just put some other weird publication, like made up another branch, I think the way the market would work, it would kind of draw people towards it. At least people who want the objective news.
Yeah.
So in other words, I think if we had to directly pay for our media, like you had to pay for CNN, you had to pay for Fox, I think it really depends on the person. Like, do people actually want objective news? And if people do, then, the invisible hand of the market, I'm a big fan of the invisible hand of the market. Someone out there would be like, all right, listen, I'm going to take every piece of a story objectively and just report it and, give people the facts. And if that's what people want, people will pay for it. But I feel like people are too grounded in their confirmation bias and they want Fox News, they want CNN.
Yeah,
and
because it's something they agree with.
Yeah, and not to say that a majority of America is like that. I probably misspoke if I did say that. But I just think that extreme sides just dominate everything because they're so simple.
Yeah.
They're so simplified, like immigration, for example. You have Republicans who just want to shut down the borders, you know what I mean? And then you have Democrats who they want open borders, and that's just not true. I know some Democrats who don't want the borders open like that.
It's not an in-between. You're either black or white. There's not a lot of gray view points.
Yeah. And I think that's really bad because media is made to be gray.
Gotcha. But it's actually turning people into black or white.
Media is made. All right, let me articulate. Media is made to be. It's that they provide the facts, and then off of that, they have an entirely different section, which is this is how news is supposed to work. You provide the facts as your content, and then off of that, like CNN they have an opinion section, but their opinion section is more like their actual news section is more like an opinion section.
Yeah, because that's what they
like. If I'm on their website right now, Ocasio-Cortez fires back in McCaskill. What else? Manafort pressured by Russians to pay back debt while Trump's campaign chair. Trump freezes federal workers' pay.
Yeah, they're also going to talk about anything that aligns with their views that's going to get them paid more money.
And then here's a big one. 11 countries will move forward with a huge trade deal without the U.S.
Say that again?
11 countries will move forward with a huge trade deal without the U.S.
Okay.
And low-key, when people read that headline and they're stuck. All right, let's say, for instance, I'm a Democrat and I read that 11 countries will move forward with a huge trade deal without the U.S. And then I'm like, oh wow, Trump. That's Trump. Look what Trump's doing.
Yeah, they're hinting at it.
Yeah, but that's the name of the game. I guess they know their audience. It's just
House of Cards in real life. Yeah,
it's how it works. It's the business of media. I don't think people understand that. And if you don't want to read it, don't read it.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with CNN doing this. What I have a problem with is when people, I did a whole thing on this with Twitter in school. I wrote about how Twitter, they preach being this free speech haven, but then they go and ban Alex Jones, they go and ban Milo Yiannopoulos,
Yeah.
and it's like, listen, go ahead and do that, but don't try to make yourself seem like you're
Don't do
this.
some false advertising there and promote yourself
Yes,
incorrectly.
yes, that's the thing. I even pulled sound bites from Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter,
Yep.
from his interviews with Lester Holt and Matt Lauer, and he specifically said it's all in the user's hand. I mean, you can go pull up the interviews yourself and find it, and he says that. In the Lester Holt interview, he says, "Yeah, put Alex Jones in a timeout. The company put Alex Jones in a timeout."
Huh.
But then in his interview on the Today Show with Matt Lauer, he said it's completely in the user's hands. Whoever they want to follow, they can follow. And maybe deep down, like if you analyze it like from a legal perspective, maybe he is like wording it in a way that it is true. But it's just like it's so manipulative. And I don't think businesses should be doing that like that. I think it's bad. It's like evil to do that.
Well, shit, we talked about a lot in an hour and change. I have some rapid fire questions for you.
Oh man.
As short as possible in terms of answers, right?
All right. Yeah.
One that will probably take you a second. What was your favorite book growing up?
Oh man.
Or now? It doesn't have to be growing up.
Right now? Oh man, this is hard. Let me think. Probably 12 Rules of Life by Jordan Peterson.
Okay.
It's probably my favorite.
What is one thing you've always wanted to do, or what's on your bucket list that's number one?
I want to make something that will be here when I'm gone, that will continue to have an impact on.
Gotcha. What this is a double-edged question. Who's your favorite president, and would you add them to Mount Rushmore?
My favorite president? Oh man.
I know you're into all that.
I mean, honestly, this is generic of me to say, but from what I know as of right now, which isn't, I'd say Reagan, and I don't know who's on Mount Rushmore. Honestly, dude, I'm a political science major, and I don't. But if he's not already there, which I don't think he is, I'm almost positive he's not. But
Theodore Roosevelt, Lincoln, Jefferson,
yeah, old
and
guy.
Washington. Yeah.
But yeah, I'd put Reagan on Mount Rushmore, definitely.
Okay. Speaking of presidents, if you could be any political position in the United States government, what would it be?
U.S. Senator.
Okay. And why is that?
It's just that's where all the work's done, the dirty work.
Yeah.
You get to you work for the people. You know what I mean? And that's just fun to me. It'd be awesome to do that.
If you were a tyrant, what country would you rule?
Oh, if I were a tyrant,
or dictator. If you could take any country and make it a dictatorship, what country would it be?
Oh, this is a hard one.
I already have mine.
Definitely not India.
No, yeah, that wouldn't be a good look. It kind of already is, However,
let me think. Honestly, at this point, America, dude. I would.
Yeah. That's
100%.
I'm a big fan of the alt history stuff, where like, what if Germany won World War II, and what if Japan took over the West Coast and Germany had the East Coast?
You know who does that good? You know who does
the Man in the High Castle? That's a Amazon show. They're in 3 seasons now, but they did a really realistic like takeover of that. It's actually really cool.
If you're interested in stuff like that, you got to read The Plot Against America.
Oh yeah,
by Philip Roth.
I think I actually have that book. I just haven't read it yet. That's the thing I do, man. I buy books and then I'm still reading a book, so I can't read more than one though. I have to completely divulge myself into one. I know you can read like so many different ones at a time.
No, that's because I rarely finish books. I usually just skim through it, do what I do. The only book I actually read all the way through probably was How to Win Friends and Influence People. And honestly, I didn't really like that book too much.
I love that book just because of how much it applies, But
yeah.
I got 2 more. $1 million in your pocket right now. What's the first thing you're buying? The first thing that comes to your mind. Literally.
I'm buying my parents' house.
Yep. Okay. Well, but how about anything? What first thing for yourself?
Myself? Shoot.
New whip?
Something business related because I don't know why, but I'm on a business kick. I want to get something started. I
Yeah,
don't know what it is, but
Gary V, I'm gonna send this podcast to you. He's on
yeah.
he's on your brain, man. Final question. All right, and if final on the business topic, if you could start you had unlimited capital to fund an idea or a business or something, what would that idea be?
This is such a hard question. Honestly, I think the agriculture idea is a great one. Colin said that?
Yeah, Colin Segan, our last podcast guest, said he wanted to start up like a farming industry, but more focused on the R&D aspect of it to develop better ways to farm, like vertical farming, indoor farming, that whole idea and world. And he said it's something he was always interested in.
Well, I kind of build off of that. I don't know. I'm not good at this, but something with like freaking animals.
Yeah.
To,
Nice.
I don't know, expand the freaking population. So, to build off of Colin's
like
thing instead of just
and all that stuff.
no, not that, like so,
Oh.
like farm animals, like freaking cows and pigs and stuff like that.
Okay.
Not to like use them like that, but I mean, what else are you gonna do?
Just like I got you. Just like the exploration into that.
So you have so to make it some more simpler, you have the vegetation, which is Colin's idea.
Yeah.
And to build off of that, I'd add, for the meat eaters or non-vegan, add on a little meat branch. Know what I mean?
Gotcha. That's cool.
And make it like a little, like a little reserve. I don't know. That's off the dome.
All right, great. Well, that will conclude the second episode of Spontaneous Combustion, the podcast where I and whoever I bring on, and that's somebody, anybody, or nobody, talk about whatever the fuck we want. My man, the myth, the legend, Santino D'Agostino, anything we want to plug while you're here, like your blog or your Instagram or anything like that?
Check out the blog. I mean, I don't post too much on it, but,
where can they find you at your blog?
www.thedebatecatalog.com.
And we'll link that in the SoundCloud, and we'll link that on YouTube. Santino, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, brother.
This will conclude the second episode of Spontaneous Combustion, the podcast. Please follow us on Instagram at Spontaneous Podcast, on SoundCloud at Spontaneous Podcast, and on YouTube at, you guessed it, Spontaneous Podcast. If you'd like to be a guest on the show or sponsor, please shoot us an email at spco.podcast@gmail.com. Thanks so much. God bless and Godspeed.